Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the importance of John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA, and I want to talk about the power of the Saymo narrative and why it spells the future, why it actually explains the present of Dungeons and Dragons that nobody understands, and why it's so critically important to modern narrative. All right, let's jump into this. So first of all, if you didn't watch John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA live every day of the 6 days it was on, shame on you, and don't dare go watch it now because this only made sense as a live show. And right there, that's Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons does not matter online. It doesn't matter if one of your people's on Zoom. Physical Dungeons and Dragons with physical dungeon masters, physical dragon masters, physical table, physical books, physical math rocks. That's what matters, right? And if you are doing something other than that, you are getting food from a five-star chef, eating it 5 hours later and doing your review. It's utter nonsense. You don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is, and you're not engaged in Dungeons and Dragons, in my humble opinion. It's live, it's real, it's tangible, right? And nothing else matters. It's That's not correct that the other stuff doesn't matter. The other stuff is official content. It's not canon. It's there, it matters, it helps the overall idea. It's like Dungeons and Dragons sneakers. They're great, right? They help to make Dungeons and Dragons relevant, but it's not the main thing, and it's not what you should be focused on. But it's also, you shouldn't forget it, okay? Just don't, like, if you're running an online game of Dungeons and Dragons, it's like you're wearing Dungeons and Dragons sneakers. It's cool, it matters, but it's not really the thing. It's not what Gary set us down to. It's the wrapping on the present, and it's great that you got a present, and it's nice that the wrapping is colorful, and it's even good that it was, folded correctly and it's got a nice ribbon on it. All those things are nice, but it's not the package. Okay, let's be really clear. All right, so what I want to talk about today is the Saymo narrative. Okay, now what is the Saymo narrative? It's very, very interesting. So let's talk about the Saymo narrative. All right, so John Mulaney starts his show, right? Very fascinating, really fascinating show. And so John Mulaney starts his show, and he's having on this collection of guests, and then he's the host, right? So he's putting on a talk show. Nothing new about that. But he's not using prepped canned questions. There's a sincerity to it and a genuineness that has never been accomplished in literally any that has never been accomplished in any talk show in the history of talk shows. It is genuinely unique and genuinely special. Okay? All right. Now, let's run this all the way through here. Okay? So, and while he's doing this, he has this robot named Saymo, and he says to everybody, "Hey, have you guys seen these robots? They've been running around LA, and they're delivering snacks to people, right?" And he's right. This is a robot that is delivering snacks to people. It's out on its own. It's doing its own thing. It's independently doing a job that a human used to do, right? And it's essentially a cooler on wheels with its own AI to tell it where to go, to collect payment, and to interact with customers, right? Pretty powerful, right? But he brings this Saymo device on, and he's using it every night, and he just uses it to bring drinks to each of the people. And I was like, this is the stupidest product placement I've ever seen. It's useless and it's stupid, and I guess John Mulaney can't escape product placement the way everybody else can. And he's getting like Schweppes diet, Schweppes cola out of it, and it's product placement on product placement, blah 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 blah, right? But at the very end, Richard Kind, and I could do a video on John Mulaney's use of Richard Kind. Let me stay focused. Saymo runs over the John Mulaney's co-host, his it's not his co-host, his what is it again, right? It's Johnny Carson had Ed McMahon, right? So Richard Kind is John Mulaney's Ed McMahon, right? So he is John Mulaney's Ed McMahon, and Richard Kind, Saymo runs over Richard Kind's $500 leather Italian loafers, right? And then Saymo hits on Richard Kind's girl, and Richard Kind gets furious, and he sends Saymo out, and he says, "Get out of here! I don't like you, and we have a fight." And he sends Saymo out. Saymo then leaves the studio, and this is in the last show. This is in the last show, right? He sends Richard Kind out, and Richard Kind sends Saymo out. Saymo goes out onto the streets of LA, becomes unhoused, and falls in with bad people. Then Flea goes and gets Saymo and brings him back, prodigal son, to John Mulaney, and the end of the show is everyone rejoicing at the return of Saymo. Narrative cements what John Mulaney did, and where any other host would have left it as stupid, raw, useless product placement, John Mulaney created a powerful narrative out of it, exactly the way you and I are going to use Lego to multiply the power of Dungeons and Dragons, the way we're doing it right now, right? The way we're going to use the Converse, the Chuck Taylor product placement to build powerful narratives. And this is not being done. This isn't even understood anywhere, right? But by the smartest people in the world. But Dungeons and Dragons and John Mulaney are crafting the new narrative power. Narratives that make money, have relevance, and profundity. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.